Good morning. Welcome to TERRA at Home. I'm here with we have Derek back from Aquascape this morning. Nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
And so we're talking about adding that element of water into our backyard, and it's amazing how much people love that and actually forget how much they love it until it's there.
Right.
Sometimes, right? And now it's easy for people to attain, even in the smallest property.
Right. And I think that's what we wanted to cover today was how it doesn't have to be big and elaborate. Of course, our strength and our love is like the big ponds with big fish and big plants or waterfalls, but it can really be something really small, either in the corner of your garden, anywhere that you could put a little basin and just have something bubbling with water. It could be an urn, it could be a little vase. There's lots of different examples at the garden center. Or what we were going to talk about here today is actually setting up a little pond right on your patio.
And I love this idea. So I've actually never seen this quite like this before. So, and this is fantastic. So you think, like, I mean, look at the tiny space we put ourselves in right now, and we have one. So really, this is good for anybody. And again, properties are getting smaller. Even people who are putting in-ground pools now are saying that in-ground pools are getting smaller, right? Yeah. So again, people have no space. Some people have none, but you can have this.
Absolutely.
So how does this work then? This is actually really neat.
This is our medium size. It's about 30 inches across. Okay. They do come bigger, and they come one size smaller yet.
Nice.
You can see it's got a little shelf in here to rest some plants. And just like our Aquascape pond, we're going to set up a miniature ecosystem.
Okay.
All right. So our ecosystem always has a little bit of rocks at the bottom for decoration and to add a little bit of surface area where you get beneficial bacteria growing. We always have plants and we have fish. And I'll even put a little pump in to create some water movement. And the fish could be just one or two little goldfish.
Yeah.
And
I love that you can put fish in here, though. When you said this to me earlier, I'm like, that is actually amazing that you can put fish in here. And if people sitting around having a drink, this is actually really fun.
Absolutely.
Right?
Just a
and
miniature
again, of course, it's that element of a little bit of moving water too, the sound. So now we're talking about atmosphere, but also sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So again, one thing you mentioned, I think keyword is ecosystem. So one thing we want to make sure you're keeping this healthy and that everything's helping each other so that this doesn't go on you.
Right, yeah, we don't want it to go stagnant. Right, so that's why we put the little water in there. People often ask, oh, what about mosquitoes? I'll get mosquitoes in my yard. In fact, if you have a little bit of rippling, even just a little bit of rippling on the water, you'll get less mosquitoes in your yard because they'll lay their little egg larvae in there, but they may lay their larvae in there, but the water will...
It just keeps moving.
Yeah, it keeps moving and wiping them out, so it's reducing the amount of...
because that's where we run into the problem is just that completely still water. Because I mean, we even had issues in the Hamilton-Halton area, you know, with all of that in the past couple of years. So again, it's just about having that element of a little bit of movement and water.
A little bit of movement, right? And it also oxygenates the bacteria that is part of the ecosystem and keeps the water clean and clear and healthy, as you say.
So again, this is totally attainable for somebody. And again, with the size changes and of course even some really decent price points as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because when you're talking about those big backyards with the big systems that are installed, you're getting into a different level there, price point. But you know, this is so cool because it's a self-contained unit.
Right. And the way we do it is we normally start empty, like we've got the bowl here today. I put 3 different types of plants in there, and I'm not a plant person, but I know this much. I like a thriller, I like a filler, something that kind of fills the bowl a bit, and a spiller. It's nice to have a plant that
You're using good TERRA words, Derek. Those are the TERRA words.
Yeah, that goes over the edge, right? So I've taken enough TERRA classes, I guess, to learn that much. So we've got a great thriller here. That I found in the garden center, just a tropical taro.
I actually love that this is a water plant. This is a water plant. I mean, it looks very tropical, but this is so cool that this will actually can sit in there and survive.
Yeah, right down there in the water. Now this is tropical, so in fact the whole bowl isn't going to overwinter, and I wouldn't keep the fish in there all year long.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well.
So you can move them inside your a little fish bowl, or if you have a pond, you know, you can keep the fish outdoor all year round. But in a little bowl, normally what we would do depends on the material it's made from. This one is fiberglass and stone composite. I usually would empty the bowl, turn it over on the deck, and then flip it back over in the spring.
Just really just take it apart, and that's going to be our best bet. Start fresh again in the spring.
And I kind of brought some tropicals, which aren't going to last, so treat them like your annuals. But I also brought some native plants like this arrowhead taro from it's more local. Whoops, excuse me.
That's okay. We know
so that you can fill up some with that. People love these corkscrew rushes. They're like,
Oh, that's neat. I didn't even see him hiding over there.
Extremely
Oh, he's
popular, right?
fantastic.
So let me see if I
Yeah,
can
he'll hold up that guy maybe.
hold up that guy.
There we go. Oh,
Right?
he's so cool.
And then to fill it, I thought, why not these hyacinth? You could use little mini lilies. There's actually a little spot in the bowl there that you could fit a little miniature lily pot down there. Or we can use these hyacinth. And you can see one's flowering here.
Yes, beautiful.
Quick story. The people are always asking, how do I get my hyacinth to flower?
To flower.
The trick is they actually need to be stressed a little. So you're going to find if we've had a cold snap one night, not very cold, because if it gets really cold, they're tropical, they'll wilt right back. But if it's just very, if it's a little bit cold one evening, or if they're bunched together, or actually if it gets broken somehow, when they're under stress, they tend to flower.
Really?
So they do well when they actually bunch together. They start to flower, and then you can kind of thin them out.
Okay, so that's probably your best bet versus trying to introduce them to a cold flash or something. Just get them all like nice and tight, and then see, that's amazing. And that is actually a good question, because a lot of people have that with certain plant life. How do I get this guy to flower?
Trick to do that is you can put a little hoop in, a floating hoop, and then put them in there, and so it constricts them. They feel, crowded, and then they start to flower. Then let go of the hoop and let them float around.
Okay.
The flowers don't last very long, but they're beautiful when they're up and
I actually
going.
really just love the purple and the red together one right now. That just looks so cool. It's really fun.
A couple other things to keep the ecosystem going.
Yep.
One is just for aesthetic reasons, I like to transplant the plants into these soft little socks planting pockets.
Yeah.
And give the plant a little bit more room to grow, and lets the water and the oxygen kind of flow through the roots.
Sure.
And then we put in a beneficial bacteria, just 1 or 2 little squirts in the water to keep the ecosystem alive.
Okay.
And if you like your plants to grow and thrive and bloom, always best to keep them fertilized, just like your other plant life in the garden.
Okay.
One of these little tabs in the pot, about finger depth down. They're really simple to put in, and just finger depth down in the soil. If it's a larger pot, 2 or 3 tabs. Just follow the directions once every 4 or 6 weeks, and you will get blooms all year long.
Wow. So again, it doesn't take much. It's just, I think once you also get just used to what you have to do, what you need to do to keep it going. And again, if everything's on spec, then it'll just kind of keep thriving on its own, right? And you do your fertilizing for your flowers. The rest of the water is going to be conditioned doing what it should be doing.
Right.
And again, as you were mentioning before, the plants help with the ecosystem, so it's all just part and parcel.
So I normally get my plants in. I get my pump in place. You'll see a lot of the bowls from Aquascape will have a little notch out. Camera probably can't pick it up, but somewhere where the wire can come out, so it's hidden.
Awesome.
And then we slowly fill it with water. That way it doesn't get all cloudy. I'll let the temperature acclimate, let it get a little warm, maybe a day or 2, and then I'll introduce the fish.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Done. You're the best. I'm going to get you to come do mine at my house. Thank you, Derek. That's really cool. You can get these at Terra. We'll be back with more Terra right after this.
Terra, where color lives.
Heritage perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Heidi Fielding and we are in the most beautiful surroundings. We're oh so lucky on this very warm day in the summer.
Very nice.
And we're lucky to be here with you, so thank you for allowing us into your beautiful property. We're talking about, of course, entertaining as we're now through August, and we have to hang on to our summer, as we know as Canadians, as long as we can. And just some easy drinking wines and that last minute. People coming over, people do that in the summer, they just sort of come over.
Yeah,
so be prepared.
Everyone's busy right now. They're thinking about their kids going back to school, and they're not planning all the barbecues out for the summer. So these are the last minute ones. So for us, we always have a few selections of wine at home and just some simple things to serve with them. Like I put out a little bit of a cheese plate, some nuts, a little bit of red pepper jelly and crostini, and they're happy with that. And that goes with a lot of different wines. So we'll talk about some wine.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I think a lot of times people really, if this is all you have for your guests, would just, you know, I mean, you can obviously add to the level of it depending on how long they're going to be there. People just seem to love munching and having a glass of wine in the summertime because it's lighter. People don't need a really heavy meal. They don't feel like they need to eat like a formal dinner.
Right, and they've come to see you. You are the most important person in the equation, and by adding the right wine, you're just enhancing the experience.
It's about catching up. So which end are we going to start from?
We'll start over here.
Start from down here.
So rosés are big right now, and they're just gorgeous in color, and really nothing says summer like a rosé.
It does.
So these are beautiful dry rosés, which are very popular. People have long associated with rosés with like a sweeter wine.
Don't they? They do.
And you can be rest assured this is on the drier side. It's made with Cabernet Franc, Pinot Noir, and some Syrah. So you get the beautiful red wine flavors, but it's a refreshing drink.
Refreshing. Okay.
Give it a try.
All right. Exactly. So you're not getting those sweet, heavy, sugary notes that a lot of people, as you say, associate with that. People have to let go of that.
Yes.
Sure, it's still out there, but not at Fielding.
I know. And I think
so
as soon as you have your first glass of a dry rosé, you will be a huge fan.
Absolutely.
And they're so versatile. Even if you are going to put some chicken, salmon, pork on the barbecue, that's a great solution for your wine pairing.
I was going to say, so that's right, when you are getting to the meats, that's the direction you kind of want to go when you're with here. And it's amazing how great a rosé does actually work with barbecue meats.
It's fantastic. Even if you're, you're getting into the fall soon, and we're going to talk about Thanksgiving in the future, that's a great Thanksgiving wine.
It is.
And it's a beautiful wine to start with people too, because it's not really heavy. It's still like a nice starter wine, and people love it.
It is. It's beautiful. It's again, nice transition. So okay, now moving on to
this is Riesling.
Riesling.
So Riesling is great for many reasons. It is very versatile, and I love it. It's one of my favorite wine varietals, but it's one of the best wine varietals we grow in Niagara.
Yes.
So, and we're worldwide known for it as well. But the great thing about Rieslings too is generally they're lower in alcohol. So great on a nice summer day when it's really hot. You're looking for wines in and around that 10%, so that you're not overdoing it a little bit.
Well, it's funny because a lot of times people don't realize that certain wines, I mean, just from the same region, same growers, can actually have different alcohol contents.
And a lot of people, it's funny, we see at the tasting bar, they'll look, oh, 12.5% alcohol, that's a good wine. No, that's a good one.
Really?
But it's funny, that perception, but really no, alcohol is really all about balance in wine. And that's something the winemaker looks for when he's picking the grapes to be harvested. And this wine has a little bit of residual sweetness in it. It's not like a sweet Riesling, but it has that balance with the acidity. But the light alcohol just makes it a perfect summer wine.
And that's what you want, as you're saying with alcohol with wine, you do want that balance. You don't want that heavy alcohol, like where it's just,
you don't want to taste the heat. You want it to. You want to taste the fruit. And this has really nice citrus, limey notes, a little bit of sort of crisp green apple. But it's so refreshing, and you could find that you drink a little more than you might normally. So given that there's a little bit of lighter alcohol, it's the way to go.
Okay, so we shall try this.
I love that one.
That's a good one.
It gets you right in the cheeks.
Right away you feel it.
It makes you want to reach over and have some cheese or something.
Absolutely does. And again, this is what's great about entertaining. And a lot of people who maybe are into more the heavy reds or that in the wintertime. You can, even people say, I like my reds, I like my reds in the summer, you can talk them into, on a warm summer day, something refreshing like this.
It's funny. People have a weird perception of Riesling because they maybe have had one that's a little too dry or a little too sweet, so they have that association that that's what Riesling is. But there's such a huge spectrum of Rieslings across the scale, and it's important to keep trying them. And if you're serving them, then they'll trust your judgment.
And as you said, this is what this region's indicative of, because it's just the perfect climate for it, right?
Perfect climate. And on a world-class level, we are recognized for Rieslings.
For a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So
Oh, I'll have to save that one for later.
Yes, we
Like that
shall.
one.
Okay.
So summer reds, Pinot Noir, great option. Pinot Noir is a lighter, really elegant red. It has really delicious cherry notes. It's not meant to be a heavy red.
Okay.
So it's always meant to be sort of lighter and medium bodied, but big still on the elegance and the structure. So this is a great choice with your poultries, your roasted chickens, salmon, barbecued Pete's on the barbecue with sort of like that Asiago mushroom component, and just has a beautiful like fruit forward nose and a little bit softer on the tannin, so you don't need a big steak with it.
Again, and that's the thing, some people again will be able to possibly move to this, maybe not sure they are a Pinot fan because they're a Cab Sauv fan or whatever. You can kind of pull them this way a little bit, particularly maybe in the summer.
Yeah, you have to understand Pinot. It's an interesting grape, and after that movie Sideways came out, everyone came into the tasting room. They're like, we want to try the Pinot, but they wanted it to taste like Cab Sauv and look like Cab Sauv.
Well,
but
it's a lot lighter.
It is, and you have to just respect the grape because it's just so good. And I think once you get into Pinot Noir a little bit more, you find one that you really like.
Yeah, this is true, and there, again, it's almost similar to the Riesling where you have to sort of you have to taste, right? You have to try.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, and finally we move on. What do we need to talk about?
We're going to taste the Cabernet Merlot because, of course, as you're entertaining, the steaks may come out. The big roast on the barbecue when you are planning, when you can plan ahead, and you know that special company is coming for the last barbecue of the season. So this is Cabernet Merlot, and it's a blend of Cabernet Franc, Merlot, and Cab Sauv. So it's really beautifully integrated. This is a bigger wine. When you taste it, you'll get a little bit of the tannins, and that's going to go nicely with your steak, with the protein, the salt in your meat.
Well, it's amazing how when people talk about pairing foods with wine, if you are doing it properly, everything just rounds itself out lovely, and so it actually strengthens the wine and it strengthens the taste of the food, right? So that's the whole reason why chefs just love that combination. If it's working properly, all is well.
And a Cab Merlot is not something you do want to pull out on a patio and just sip on its own because it's a little just too big for that. You need that food component, whether it's a really strong cheese or a nice meat.
Yes, and you can see again, you just want to. Have to choose them. That's actually really nice. That's very good.
Yeah, that
I'm a big
did well for us.
cab fan myself, but I'm also just very easily would circulate in this area, particularly this time of year, right?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine drinking the Cab Merlot at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the baking sun.
No, because I would probably fall asleep.
Yeah, you want to entertain your guests.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Heidi. Again, obviously the experience of Niagara for people to come down and to come to your winery and experience this. They can do this.
Anytime.
Just here with you guys.
Actually, we entertain guests on the deck all the time with wines by the glass. And we actually do little cheese plates as well for them, and they can sit and have it. But we're open 7 days a week year round, and this is what we love to do. We love to entertain our guests.
You guys are very good at it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. And again, so if your backyard's not that great, come here. They have a great backyard. It's lovely. That's it for now. We'll have more TERRA at home.
TERRA, where color lives.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. On our last show, we mentioned to you that Chef Rachel was leaving, and our new chef is in town. We have Chef Iain Kirkpatrick here from Rue Kitchen and Commissary, and you're our official resident chef now, so nice to have you on the show with us. And so this is our first one together, and we're doing canning today. So we're talking about the fact that, again, we're starting to see a little bit of a kind of a return of canning. People are starting to appreciate it again, and all what comes with it, the benefits of having that in our winter months.
Yes, well
Right.
said.
Okay.
I return to the classics. I'm going to start off with our pickling brine, to which I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of salt and 2 teaspoons of sugar to our brine solution. While that's moving along, I'm going to toast up some fennel seeds, just a little bit on some heat, just to bring out the aromatics.
And the brine solution has, what else was in it?
Oh, you're so right. I apologize. It is 5.5 cups of water to 2.5 cups of white wine vinegar.
Okay.
So we're starting to already get the fragrances
I know, I was just
from
going
the
to say,
fennel
that's
seeds.
quick.
Quite quick. It's a high heat. I'm going to take it off. Watch your fingers if that's okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to start a little bit of an assembly line. Ultimately, I've got my my jars out of the water, as well as my lids. We're also in the hot water as well, just to soften the rubber seals.
So they're all been prepped, good to go?
Exactly. So what we're going to do right now is a little bit of an assembly line, to which we're going to add a couple of cloves into each.
Okay.
I'm going to add a few peppercorns to each jar.
All right.
There we go. And again, we're going to add a little bit of some mustard seed as well. It's just a basic pickling spice.
And when you're in the kitchen and people are doing canning, some people will have jars lined up over their kitchen,
absolutely.
right? And once you get everything going, it's actually a pretty quick process. So everything's prep's all done. You're just do, right?
Certainly is.
I think people have this fear that it just involves so much work, but you can actually accomplish a lot, and then you're left with a lot.
Well, I hope to take out some of the mystery to the canning and preserving anyways. Essentially what we're just doing right now is I'm taking my pickles, my cucumber, out of the ice bath, and just starting to fill each jar.
So you can get pretty full. Like you can do quite a bit in there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just so it's nice
That's
and
great.
snug. Looks really great as well. And also we're going to add just a little bit of dill to each jar as well.
Okay. So again, one thing that's great I think about canning as well is that it actually looks good. A lot of people have these set up in their kitchen, and again, it's just easy accessible. So once you have these, they're great gifts as well to people. People really appreciate them, especially if people don't do canning. They're like, oh, thank you so much. But again, you made it yourself. You have control over the ingredients. You know what's in there.
Well said. We're
Right?
actually starting a canning and preserve class at Rue Commercial Kitchen
Oh.
in the fall.
That's great.
You can visit our website at ruecommissary.com and you can find out the schedules and the times.
That
That's
is
going to happen
really good.
sometime in September.
Because you're right, there are people that are worried. I think probably my biggest fear is that I've made sure they're sealed properly so that when I go back,
Absolutely.
that they're actually still good.
Absolutely. Health and safety is always a concern.
Right.
My kind of rule of thumb is if the lid starts to dome up, you know right away not to use it. So outside of that, ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to add our brine solution to each.
Okay.
Piping hot brine solution, so let's always be cautious and careful.
Yes.
Absolutely. There we go. And again, if you fill the jars up, there should be just a cover the vegetable completely.
Okay.
There you go.
And that's the thing, a lot of times people have a question too, is how high do you go? But you're going right up to the top.
Right up to the top. I want to cover a good at least ½ inch over the vegetable anyway.
Okay.
And I always give it a little jiggle as well, just to make sure that there's no air pockets.
Uh-huh.
And ultimately,
Very good.
is we can just snap on each jar. They should be
Okay.
tight, snug, but not too tight.
All right. Good.
No, that's
Okay.
with the pickles anyways.
Done.
Like I said, we have other options. This time of year, Foodland Ontario premieres their beans as well. Asparagus was late last month, was the last of the asparagus season. So there's absolutely lots that you can choose
Yeah, we're
from.
like our prime season, right? When you're getting into August, you're getting into just like everything. We're so lucky. We're just getting to like a plethora of stuff. So grab onto it and do what you can, from fruits to vegetables, and just have fun with it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now what's the next step after this? Once they've been put into the jars.
Once they're into the jars, what we're going to do is we're going to submerge them into our hot bath. Okay?
Okay.
You start the timer at when the bottle, you start the timer when it reaches its boiling point. It should
Okay.
be in the bath for 1/2 hour,
Wow. so
just to
that
cook
long.
things out. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely.
All right, then, once you take it out of the water, so if we sped things forward.
Sped things forward, just leave it to cool on your counter.
Okay.
And ultimately towards your cold cellar later on. It should
that's
be
it.
around a month before you start to get all the different flavors infusing.
That's what I was going to ask you.
So give yourself plenty of time, especially if you're going to do it as a gift.
Yes.
Give yourself lots of time
So
to
you
do
get
the
the ultimate
preparation.
flavor there, right?
Absolutely,
Okay,
for sure.
so another question too is, once you get to this, how long do they last? That's a big one for people as they go. And I mean, sometimes you don't even know. I think the best thing is when people date their jars. But, you know, some people think canned products last forever and ever and ever, but not
Absolutely
necessarily.
not. Just I would put it in just under a year.
Okay.
Is the best for your canning and preserving, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You're already going to be taking advantage of the next summer's produce and fill.
Sure.
So again, it shouldn't last more than a
I
year.
think once you get a system too, when you're canning, and once you get a system and you have sort of a rotation and you do have things dated, then you're not going to be sitting there watching it and waiting for it to open it, right?
Absolutely.
Because you will have that sort of, and again, I think also once you get into it, you'll be able to get more adventurous, because what do you think is there that's harder to can than others? Anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Anything
When you
specific?
start getting into things like pickling watermelon rind, when you get into pickling
That didn't even
different
cross my mind,
peppers.
Ian.
Oh, there's a plethora. So
Really?
many different fruits and vegetables that you can get into brines and pickling,
Oh, I love that.
and compotes and preserves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to be learning a lot from you on this show. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, and then we're going to actually put a nice plate together and show you what you can do with some of these lovely jarred vegetables that we have made here today.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Great.
Terra, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Ian, and we did some quick canning lessons for you here today. And now, of course, you have that final product, and again, you get that sort of build in your kitchen of all these different types of produce, canned, winter, fall, summer, whenever you need it. And look at what you've done.
Yeah, we're putting together a little bit of a plowman's lunch. Just some baguette. I've got some Thunder Oak smoked Gouda, little chicken liver pate. I've got a wonderful raw French cheese from Quebec. Here's our pickled asparagus to put down on the plate. I've got some brezola, which is some cured beef tenderloin. I've got some prosciutto just to add. Of course, our pickles that we did. And some great pickled beans as well.
How fantastic is that, though? I mean, this is just so great. It just shows you what you can do. Because some people think, okay, you know, I'm pickling asparagus. What am I going to do with it? But of course, there are lots of different things you can do besides even this. You can put it in salads and have a party with it, right?
For sure.
Yeah, I love this. This is great. Okay, so let's talk about, I mean, again, obviously options when we're dealing with canned vegetables and canned fruit. I think also maybe somewhere down the road we can do canned fruit, because again, it's really, really great to have in the wintertime when you don't have access to, say, peaches or something like that.
Summer
right?
in a jar.
Yes, so again, just really the options there are always really nice. Something like this is fantastic for people. And again, this is just a great idea. This is just tips, but of course, you can find our recipes now for Chef Ian online, terragreenhouses.com. And again, just really just brainstorm and have. People usually love this.
Oh,
When you
it's a
come
great
over to
lunch.
someone's house and you have this all set out, or as I suggested, you can make me a picnic basket, and this would be perfect. I'd be very happy with you, Ian. That'd be really good. All right, so that's it for TERRA at Home today, and. Hey, next week, another big fun surprise, and we're working on for you next Saturday morning. That's it for now.
Look
Thank you.
forward to it.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll see you then. Have a good weekend.